You're listening to the Common Fan Podcast, a Husker football podcast for the common fan, by the common fan.
Welcome back to the Common Fan Podcast. I am TJ Burkle, as always, alongside Matty Owens Sr. and Geoff in Lincoln. The Huskers drop a heartbreaker in Columbus. They had a fourth quarter lead against Ohio State. They ultimately lose 21-17. We're going to get into everything that happened on Saturday, Common fans. But guys, one thing I've been thinking about since the game is our very first episode, very first ever Common Fan Podcast episode. We outlined a series of guiding principles. We won't call them rules exactly, but guiding principles for the Common Fan Podcast. And you can find those guiding principles if you go to our website, www.commonfan.co. But one of them is all common fans welcome. Okay. And the reason I've been thinking about this is because I think that Husker Nation is all over the place right now, and that's okay. So if you common
reel them in, General.
If you fellow common fan are out there listening to this week after the Ohio State game, and you're still full of rage that Nebraska had a golden opportunity at its fingertips and let it slip away, that's okay. You're welcome here. Common fans are welcome here.
Yeah.
If you're feeling a little more pensive, a little more thoughtful, maybe a little bit like Matt Rule in the post-game press conference, if you're saying, you know, despite the heartbreaking loss, I saw a lot of good in that game and it gives me hope for the future. Of course, you're welcome here too. You're welcome here too. All common fans are welcome. Yep. If you're somewhere in between that, if you're in a glass,
you're not sure what the hell's going to happen.
I'm not sure what's going on. If you're in a glass cage of emotion, if your mood is shifting hour by hour, minute by minute, whatever it might be, if you're having trouble focusing at work this week, take a seat. Take a seat. Hang out with the common fans.
Why don't you sit down?
We've all we're Husker Nation's all over the place this week, and that's okay.
Yeah.
All common fans are welcome here. We're going to try to break this thing down. And you know what? We might rage for a minute about something that happened. And then the next minute, we might be talking about how we're on the cusp of winning, 4 or 5 national championships. I don't know. It's hard to say where this is. Hard to say where this thing's going to go.
You don't know where things are going to go.
I don't know.
But I liked how you were kind of like a very soothing, kind of like a radio. What is it? Who is the radio person that gave advice?
Delilah.
Husker fans, why don't you come just step on in the room and sit down on the brown leather couch? It's very comfortable, isn't it? Yeah, go ahead and kick your feet up, put them up on the ottoman. We're gonna have a real good chat
for a while. Yeah.
You know what? And we're here for you.
We're gonna have a heart to heart.
Come on in, common fans.
I'm going to tell you. I thought you were going to change the rules when you said all common fans are welcome.
Oh,
I thought you were just going to flip it and be like, kick me off the pod. I thought I was gone. I thought I lost.
Hey, you know what,
Jeff? Just so you know,
it's come up. You
are hanging on by a very thin thread. Just so you know. I'm going to tell you guys. I want to hear where you guys are on the spectrum that I just laid out. I want to tell you guys where I am. Real quick, common fans. It's starting to get a little colder out there. We're heading into November, and what's better in November when it's cold outside? You're watching football than chili. Maybe you want ground beef in your chili. Maybe you want steak in your chili. Maybe you don't want chili. Maybe you want to wake up in the morning and have beef bacon. Oh. Maybe it's not too cold for you because you're from Nebraska and you're tough and you're going to go out and grill year round and you want to grill steaks. It doesn't matter. Go to cpbeef.com to get everything your heart desires. Certified Piedmontese is premium Nebraska beef, raised and grazed in the beautiful Sandhills region of the state. And you, common fan, can now get 25% off any eligible item at cpbeef.com by using the promo code COMMONFAN, all one word, COMMONFAN. You can also stop by your local Mercado Butcher Shop in Lincoln or Omaha to get all those same fresh butchery items, butcher store items, but also some hot food to go for your weekly lunch or whatever it might be. cpbeef.com. Use the promo code CommonFan, all one word, CommonFan, to get 25% off and get certified. If you go to cpbeef.com, get certified Piedmontese products shipped right to your front door anywhere across all 50 states. Certified Piedmontese, powering the Husker football team and powering the Common Fan podcast. Also, make sure to check out our website, www.commonfan.co. TS Web Services built the site for us. Their team of experts provided top-notch solutions tailored directly to our needs. If you need web development or hosting, they've got you covered. You can trust TS Web Services to take your online presence to the next level. We had a great experience working with them. They were very responsive and delivered high-quality work. TS Web Services can help improve, redesign, or host your website. Check out tswebservices.com. Jeff, you look like you have something to say.
No, I didn't agree with your chili thing. I don't really like chili, but yeah,
we're not going there tonight,
great.
Jeff. You're not taking us there tonight.
No, not tonight.
Who doesn't like chili?
Not tonight, devil.
In the spirit of Halloween, those CP beef boxes that get delivered to your house, they do come fully loaded with dry ice. So if you want to make like a cool witch's cauldron and like some smoke, when you drop it in water, order some today. You'll have it by Halloween.
Drop it. Are you Martha Stewart now?
What?
Like what?
It's really cool.
What the hell are you talking about? All right, back to Husker football, guys.
Thank God.
Let me tell you where I am. I do find myself thinking about all the things that could have gone differently for us to win that game.
Yeah.
Like there were blown opportunities. There were mistakes made. There were really frustrating things to think about. But I'll be honest with you guys. I did not expect us to win that game. I did not expect us to be in a position to win that game.
No.
And I was really concerned coming off the 56-7 loss to Indiana that if we came out and had a blowout loss or a kind of a bad loss, or even like let's say it's close at halftime and then it's 42-17 by the end of it or something, like something where maybe we could have some positive takeaways, but it looks bad, to the rest of the nation. I was really worried, not that like you'd lose the team necessarily, but like the thing could start feeling like it's running off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it's so encouraging. And Coach Rule said it himself at the end in the press conference. There are no moral victories, and we're all sick of moral victories. And I feel that way for sure. But it's so encouraging that they came out and fought the way that they did. They went toe to toe with the number 4 team in the country.
The world famous Ohio State.
That's Gus Johnson.
Good God.
That's exactly right. And it was just so encouraging and so like it just gives me renewed hope. Let me say that if they bring that intensity and team-wide, and look, even though we're gonna criticize the offense and the $1.4 million man, Marcus Satterfield, but to a person, offense and defense, they came out and fought. They came out and battled. They came out and they weren't afraid. Like they didn't stick their tail between their legs after the Indiana game and say, well, I guess we're not that good. They played to win that game. And if they bring that effort and especially that defense, they can, I'm not going to predict they can win every game left on the schedule.
100%. 100%. I was so impressed. I thought about like in the moment, like, it sucked to lose, but what an incredible coaching job to go from 1 week ago, getting your ass handed to you 56-7. And it's so embarrassing. Like it's embarrassing for everybody, the players, the coaches, the fans. And then a week later, you're facing a top 5 team. They might be top 3 guys. To even hang with them for 4 quarters, to have a chance to win the game as a 26-point road underdog is impressive as hell. That is impressive. It is. And if people can't see that and all they see is we lost another close game, then they aren't seeing things the way that they are. Like that should show everyone that, hey, let's stay the course here, guys. Like that looked really promising. We were just as physical as Ohio State. Ohio State, like they
Mhm.
probably have third stringers that could be starting for us. And we went toe to toe with them for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hanging my hat on. And honestly, I haven't been that proud of our team since probably the first half of Colorado. And maybe flashes in the Illinois game. But like that was like I was like, holy crap, like this looks like a real college football team. Like you watch SEC teams and stuff like that on Saturday night, like the biggest games, and you're watching it sometimes over the last 10 years, you're like, God, these guys are on a whole nother level than we are. And we hung with
Yeah.
those guys. We did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm taking a ton away from this game. I loved it. And it felt like,
Yeah,
honestly,
there's a lot.
it felt like it was like the moral victory of moral victories, right? Like and I hate those and I'm so sick of them too. But that's what it is. And it was one of the best we've had in years.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, Owens, like you said, the good job of coaching. Like you also got to remember, like you're dealing with like young men,
Yeah.
18, 19-year-old kids in some aspect. And after getting just beat down the week before, kids' minds can start to wander. They can probably get discouraged and they're unsure of themselves. They're unsure of the team. So it took some, I don't know, some stones to get those guys up for this game, which I was super impressed with, because you could kind of figure that they might just come out completely flat after just getting their asses handed to them. No more than a week before that.
Yeah,
so I thought there was good things. There's bad things too, but there was a lot more positives outweigh the negatives for sure.
Absolutely.
I went and looked, guys. So Ohio State lost 2 weeks prior to playing us to Oregon by a point, 32-31.
Mm-hmm.
But heck of a game. I watched, as most Common Fan listeners know, I married a duck. So I watched pretty much all that game with my lovely wife. And it was it's an instant classic. It was a class. It was an amazing battle, great game. Either team could have won. But I just went back and looked. Ohio State scored 31 points on the number one team in the country. Okay. And that's another team that's full of 4 and 5 stars and Nike money, and Dan Lanning, who is a defensive guy, Georgia's defensive coordinator before he was Oregon's head coach. So they scored 31 points on Oregon. They passed for 326 yards. They rushed for 141. So what's that total? That's 467 total yards. And I mean, they did just with the eye test too. Having watched both games, they were so much more explosive and did so much more on offense. And then compared to what they did against us, they scored 21 points. Howard threw for 221 yards. He was pretty good. He was 13 for 16. I mean, that's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
And then on the rushing thing is they ran for 64 yards.
Yeah.
We held that offense to
with 2 of the
64
best running backs
yards.
in the country.
Yeah.
Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson are NFL guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, again, we said all year, I think that's another reason why the Indiana game was so shocking, because everyone thoroughly believed, okay, at the very least, this defense can keep us in any game. And there's problems on special teams and there's problems on offense, but this defense can keep us in any game. And then it would have been fair for anyone to question that after the Indiana game. And now, I mean, I think the add-on to what all three of us are saying, the add-on to the part about the moral victory, is that it's no longer a moral victory if we don't show that the rest of the year.
Right.
Because if we play like that, we are going to beat UCLA.
Yeah.
If we play like that, we are going to beat 1 or 2 or 3 of USC, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Right. So I think part of it where Rule talked about this is the first time they've had a championship mindset. And it can be a turning point to go into Columbus for everything coming off the Indiana game. Nobody expects you to win. Everything we've just talked about, it can be a turning point, and it can be a productive moral victory if you build on it.
Yeah.
If they go lay an egg against UCLA, then I think it's right back to questioning everything.
Yeah,
it's all for nothing.
Right back to questioning everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put a finer point on that too. Tej is just you had said it in weeks prior, or actually last week too. You're willing to give the benefit of the doubt to the defense, and I kind of pushed back on that a little bit.
You
did a
lot.
Say that
Jeff.
a lot.
You did a lot.
I'm going to change my tune.
I haven't forgotten that, Jeff.
I'm gonna change my tune. They no longer get just the benefit of the doubt. I'm fully behind everything that they have to offer and put out on the field. I mean, again, it's Ohio State. You've got NFL caliber players. You've got Ryan Day running the show. You've got freaking Chip Kelly calling plays against us.
Right,
and
right.
We made it. To be honest, we kind of made him look bad for a while there. So
for the whole game,
if we can do that against the number, they fully will always get my benefit of the doubt now for sure.
So Jeff, you're saying I was right.
Yeah, you're right, TJ. You were right. Okay, you were right.
Oh, thank you.
I was wrong.
Thank you, because
you're good looking. I'm not attractive.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. Sorry, Matteo, were you gonna say something there?
No.
Okay.
The other thing I did want to clarify too is I wanted to get this out of the way early, guys. I will admit I did predict a victory in this game. And I'll own that. I did predict a victory, but I didn't say the type of victory. So if Wade Boggs, Eric Boggs is listening to the podcast right now, I think a moral victory falls underneath that umbrella of victory. So technically, I think
Eric Boggs, Jeff. It's not.
I know. I like to call him Wade Boggs though, and so I think that a moral victory still counts. I think so. I haven't gotten that beanie in the mail yet, but when I do, I'll decide if I'm going to wear it actually on the pod or not. So.
No, I don't know about
that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, I will say, Husker fans, if you want to feel a little bit better about yourself, you should go find some like various Ohio State fan Twitter accounts or message boards and see how much they're all melting down about, this near loss to Nebraska. It's actually thoroughly enjoyable.
Are they talking about firing Ryan Day?
Oh yes, they're openly talking about firing
they have to be.
Ryan Day. They were angry about, and he didn't handle the press. I didn't even see what he said in the press conference, but he didn't handle it appropriately or something. And I'm mostly going off of just comments on Twitter, but it's just thoroughly enjoyable, and it'll make you feel a little bit better about yourself. It would have been it would have been so much better, obviously, to see them melt down after we beat them.
Yeah.
But it's enjoyable.
We'll take what we can get. Take what we can get.
I'll tell you what else.
It feels good to be a little thorn in the paw,
That's right.
The vibe of this podcast coming off a loss is probably the most positive I've ever seen.
I'll be honest with you. Like,
absolutely.
I texted the group, our broader group of high school buddies and the fantasy football league yesterday. Like, this is as energetic as I felt coming off a loss in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And again, I'm balancing that with, I continue to think about various missed opportunities and ways that we could have and should have won that game. Don't get me wrong, but I'm super, again, like, it won't mean anything if they don't keep doing it. But I think this is what we thought we would see all season long. And the offense, it's a slog. We'll talk about that. But man, if they can play like this the rest of the way, we're going to win. I think we're going to win 7 or 8 games. Maybe we'll run them all off. Maybe we'll win them all.
I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, guys.
So, guys, the other thing is, I was so ready to melt down in the first 5 minutes of that game.
Oh, 100%. I almost did. I almost did. There was a hat throw, the very first, between the muffed kickoff return and then the first series. I was get me.
So why we can't catch a kickoff?
I audibly gasp whenever we have to field any kick, period. Does not matter. Does not
hold
matter.
Your breath.
Oh, he called a fair catch. He's letting I gasp no matter what. Like, just
thank God their kicker just basically, I think he kicked it in the end zone the rest of the game. We didn't really have to worry about it. Maybe there was one other return other than the first one, but God, thank God we didn't have to field that many kickoff return balls.
No, I went and we dropped the kickoff, and then he had to just fall on it at the 9-yard line. So you feel like you're up against it. I mean, you're in Columbus, hostile environment, number 4 team in the country. Not exactly how you wanted to start. And then on the first exchange, I will say it looked like Raiola bobbled the snap a little bit first, So I don't know exactly what happened there, but then Dowdell fumbles the handoff, or maybe it was an exchange issue, whatever, fumble. And so Dowdell jumps on it at least. And then we go, let's see, we went 3 and out basically. Raiola was sacked on 3rd and 6. And then Buschini, who I don't want to criticize because he has been awesome, but he had his probably worst punt of the year.
Yeah,
worst punt of the
bad
year.
shank.
And it was like, I was just so ready to melt down. They're not ready to play. The special teams is terrible again. They're going to get rolled. Like, this is inexcusable. I was so angry and so spun up.
I think everybody thought
and then the black shirts
entire
came
fan
out.
base thought that.
And then the black shirts came out. 4 plays for Ohio State, 8 yards. We get the ball right back.
Yeah.
And that legitimately, whether the first series was an anomaly and we were going to play well the rest of the way or not, from a fan perspective, that felt like it completely flipped the script.
Yeah.
That felt like it was like, okay, we got the ball at like the 30.
Yeah, nothing hurt.
No harm done. This is kind of like, okay, the game starts now, right?
Yeah. We start over. Yep. We start fresh.
And so that was so huge. And again, like, can't wait until it's really good all the time. I can't wait until they play 4 really good quarters. I can't wait until we don't have to hold our breath on every kickoff and punt return. But the fact that they like bounced back from that adversity and didn't wilt and didn't fold and just let Ohio State walk all over them, that's not insignificant for this program considering where we've been. And so then, guys, the first quarter kind of goes back and forth. Ohio State forces a punt. We force a punt. Then Ohio State forces a punt again. And then Ohio State scores a touchdown to go up 7-0 late in the first quarter. And I don't know why I had it in my head. I really wanted it to be 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. And I was like, all right, well, okay, 7-0. I think you made that point on the text, Matteo. 7-0 is not that bad. And then we go down, guys, and we do something on our very next possession. We do something remarkable. We kicked a field goal.
It was incredible.
You believe that?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I feel like my
Johnny
reaction to us, us making that field goal was a louder reaction, I think, than I've had to a lot of our touchdown plays.
Yes.
For sure.
Totally.
For sure.
Totally.
At this point, we're just like, there's no way he's going to make this. There's no way.
No, that's exactly right.
But Johnny Hole stepped up, man.
It was a 39-yarder, and the snap looked bad. Like the snap looked shaky again, or the hold or something, whatever it was. Whatever. And then I got to say, like, the rest of the way, guys, it really felt like I still had concern that it was going to get out of hand. So, like, Ohio State had scored on the possession before that. We kick a field goal. They go down and score another touchdown to make it 14-3. And then they force a punt. And so it's 14-3. And then they drive again and get into field goal range. And their guy misses a field goal. And it was like, huge. Oh, okay. That feels like significant, right? And then right at the end of the first half was that just atrocious, embarrassingly bad officiating from the Big Ten officials.
So bad.
Where
CFIC in full force.
Exactly.
Full force. College football industrial complex came to play. They came to
play.
And
they're getting the college football industrial complex is getting a little sloppy because normally they wouldn't be so obvious. Normally they try to be a little
behind the scenes kind of deal.
A little more discreet about how they try to screw us. That I was so confused because I saw Emmett get the first down.
Yeah.
And then I think Charlotte was, my 2-year-old was running around. And then I looked back and I was like, wait, it's not first down. And I literally had this, I must have missed it. I must have, I thought it was me.
Yeah, same thing. Same exact thing
happened there where I was like, I wasn't totally dialed in, but it was like, oh, that's weird. And then everybody started making a huge thing, including on the broadcast, Joel Klatt and was making a big thing about it. And then what was the other thing? Was it offensive PI or something?
Yeah,
that's what it was. Offensive
later in the game. Yeah.
No, on the same drive.
Series. Was it the same drive?
Yes.
Yeah. On Nair. Yeah.
On Nair. Yes. Pass interference. So then it was like, 3rd and 20 at the Ohio State 45. And it was like, well, okay, we're going to go into halftime 14th. Like, forget it. This is over. And then we completed a 9-yard pass to Fedoni. And it's like, oh, they're going to try and kick it. Okay. And then Johnny Hull does it again.
Yeah.
How long was that one, by the way?
54.
54 yarder. Yeah.
Dang. That's beautiful. I don't know, that whole exchange there, like, because we lost, I know that we lost a ton of time off the clock because of the
right. Yeah. Right.
spot.
Yeah.
And then the phantom call for offensive PI. I think Clapp thought nobody should have gotten called for anything there.
Right.
And then the only explanation I could think of was the and I think they were talking about on the broadcast. Did the referee think that somebody else had the ball? Because it's like he went and spotted it back by like where another player was laying on the ground.
I have no
I don't
idea
know, but it's
how
just
that happened.
Yeah.
But it was like
complete
a
and
good
total
yard and a
abject
half
failure.
or 2 yards, like
Yeah.
back from where it should have been. And it's a change, and it should have been a first down. So then shouldn't the clock doesn't stop anymore on a first down? Is that right?
Well, it does under 2 minutes at the end of the first half and under 2 minutes at the end of the second
Yeah.
half.
So it should have stopped
there.
the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
lost time that way too. So
Lost time there, and they didn't want to burn the timeout yet. And then they had to bring in the different personnel to get the first down on 3rd and short, which should have been, it just threw off everything.
Yeah.
Thank God for Johnny Hull,
Unbelievable.
who laughed in the face of the college football industrial complex.
he really did.
Guys,
he
like,
really did.
14-6 at halftime, it just felt like we're kind of barely hanging on, right? They had moved the ball. They had scored 2 touchdowns that looked pretty easy. They had missed a field goal. But this is also, it illustrates, this is going to be such an obvious statement, but it hasn't been something the Huskers have done well. So I'm going to say it. It illustrates the value of being able to make field goals.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
imagine if it's 14-0 or 17-0 at halftime.
Totally different
And that
story.
changes
The
things.
mindset is, well, this is how we thought it could go. Like, the doubt starts creeping in. And again, this is a fan's perspective, but from a fan's perspective, it's like, this is what we thought was going to happen.
Even
and,
TJ,
whatever.
the difference between 14-3 and 14-6.
Yeah.
In a game like that,
suddenly
is
it's
like,
a
holy
touchdown
crap.
game.
Yeah. One score ball game against one of the biggest names in college, the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes going into halftime.
World famous.
One score ball game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was huge. That's huge for your psyche.
And I saw a tweet around halftime. Jack Mitchell tweeted something like, if the Huskers force a stop, because Ohio State got the ball to start the second half. He said, if the Huskers force a stop and then go down and score, I think he said touchdown, but go down and score, this is going to become interesting very quickly, because like the air is going to get sucked. Like, they're already on edge. The air is going to get sucked out of that place.
Yep.
And sure enough, not only do we force a stop, we force a 3 and out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go down and we get another field goal.
Yep.
3 for 3.
Johnny Hull, 3
Beautiful.
for 3.
Johnny effing Hull.
Yep. This one for 47
done.
yards. And so suddenly it's 14-9. And like, suddenly, I think Husker Nation collectively is like, this is going to be a ball game.
They're not just going
to run away with this thing in the second half. Like, here we go. Like, and then Malcolm Hartzog's interception. Hartzog's interception was very next thing after that field goal.
God, that's the one.
Now we start talking to the anger and the regret.
Yeah.
So
if he could have just brought that back all the way, that would have been.
I know. Just get it over. Can we just get it over with?
That would have been amazing. So that was super frustrating because it was so funny because we watching it at home, we were having TV issues. And so I just turned it off for a minute. It was, everything's streaming now. Right. And so if your internet gets interrupted or whatever. So I turned it off, turned it back on, and they're showing Dylan Raiola coming off the sideline. And we knew that we had just kicked off or whatever. And so me and my Michael boy, my 10-year-old, kind of look at each other like, what's going on? Did we act, sometimes at least on Hulu, it'll start at the beginning again. Or did we catch it in the middle of what's going on? Then they showed the replay of the pick, and we both our heads exploded. Like, what? First and goal at the 7? Let's go. It was like, oh my God, here we go. I hesitate. I'm going to be critical here because we can't not be critical. Because if you're in hostile territory in Columbus and you're within one score and you get a big play like that and it's first and goal at the 7, you have to score.
Yeah.
You have to score there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yep.
but the reason I'm
Yep.
not going to be overly
Anything.
critical. Yeah, I kind of wonder if they should have kicked a field goal on 4th and whatever. But anyway, they did run the ball 4 times.
I wanted him to go for a
Yeah.
touchdown. I'll be honest.
You know, like you can't fault them for going for a touchdown.
No, I
doubt.
think they made the right call.
But they ran the ball. So 1st and goal at the 7, Dante Dowdell run for 1 yard. 2nd and goal at the 6, Dante Dowdell run for no gain. Okay. 3rd and goal at the 6, they did that little end around jet sweep type of thing with Jalen Lloyd down to the Ohio State. Like I thought he landed a yard or even less
That
than a
spot was
yard
bad,
short
too.
of the goal line. That was a bad spot. They spotted it about the 2.
Damn these guys.
Here's what was confusing though, guys, because Rule said afterward they thought it was closer. And so the play that was called wasn't as effective run from the 2-yard line as it would have been run from the
if it's from the 1, he's in.
Right. Which makes sense. But my question is, 1, why didn't you challenge the spot? Or 2, did you not see where the ball was spotted and then decide to call a different play or do something different? Like, if you he's right, but then why did you still run the same play? That's what I don't understand. It wasn't clear if there was a disconnect there or if they didn't realize it until it was too late or whatever, but somebody's got to realize that.
Right.
Yeah.
You would expect coaches at this level of play to know, like, okay, one of the first things you look at is where do they got the ball spotted? And all you gotta do is look up at the scoreboard. Oh, it's on the 2. Okay, we gotta get 2.01 yards.
Yeah,
right.
You're not me on the golf course where I stand over the ball, and even if I realize I'm like in a bad spot, I'm like, well, I've already addressed the ball. I have to swing. I have to do it. Like, you can step back, reevaluate, see what's going on, and change the play if you need to.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe they missed, like maybe they didn't see it until it was too late. They didn't want to burn a timeout. There's probably an explanation there, but I texted the guy's language that I won't share on this podcast. It's a family friendly show. But when I saw him leap, and that's what you do at like the half yard. Yeah, it felt like he was like at the 3.5 yard line. It was like, what are you doing? Why would you jump there? I also wondered when they brought Ty Robinson in as fullback, I was like, I wonder if this is like a decoy and they're going to do some like play action fake and do
throw it to him.
Yeah. Throw it to somebody or whatever. But that one really, really hurts.
Yeah.
But then black shirts to the rescue again, 3 and out. They didn't even get a first down. They had to punt. And then okay, that's right. And then the very next one was when Dylan missed Jamal Banks down the sideline. So that's what we had the ball. We had the ball on Ohio State. Yeah, we had the ball in Ohio State territory. I think we were on the right side of the 50 to start the drive. Like we were almost already in field goal range. And I think it was a 2nd down play and just overthrew him a little bit. And I think you have to make that throw.
He missed a couple.
No one.
He missed Barney wide open later on too, I believe, in the corner.
Yes, he did. Yes,
with nobody on him.
I think, but that was the second one. Was we scored anyway on that drive?
Yeah,
we still got in the end zone there.
Yep.
But that's no one has salivated over Dylan Raiola more than we have. I mean, we are the kid's hugest fans. But if you're gonna ride with the true freshman, you gotta eventually start making those. Yeah, you're gonna have that.
Yeah. He'll start making them.
I think so.
He will, for sure.
Yeah.
But you need to make those right then and there. You just have to.
Yeah.
In that situation, you just have to do it. I'm curious, going back to the defense real quick, do you know how many 3 and outs they forced? Because I felt like, and my wife will tell you, I swear to God, multiple times I was sitting in the living room going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, like on the 3rd down play. And it happened more often than not. I felt like we forced a ton of those.
I counted 4 in the second half.
Yeah, I can tell you at least how many. Well, so we had, if you count, let's see,
I think 5 for the game. I think 4 in the second half.
1, and also we had a ton of 3 and outs. We also had the turnover on downs in the first half. We forced a bunch of the defense just kept answering the bell.
Yeah, bunch of men.
That's exactly
man's game.
And so it's like you just wonder what had happened if we had gotten. You can't really say we should have been up. The the reason we got like, you probably get one or the other of those, right? If you score on the fourth and goal play, then you're not in a position to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, 'cause the
Yeah.
field
then
flipped
you
and
never
all
the
that,
field
yeah.
flip, then you never know really. The game goes a different direction, then you never
Right.
know what happens. But
Yep.
you loved if you just got one of those, it's a potentially different ball game, right?
Yeah.
We win.
Potentially, right?
We win.
Yeah, we win.
And
That's the way I look at it.
so
We score a touchdown there, we won that game.
yeah, but then the black shirts force another 3 and out, and then we go down and score. And I do like I want to get through this game recap and talk about some of the big picture themes. I mean, the offense did some good things. They moved the ball from time to time. Immediately after we score, Ohio State goes down and scores a touchdown.
Yeah, that hurt.
And I'm not going to be critical of the black shirts. They gave up 7 points in the second half, but that was really bad timing for that touchdown drive, obviously. And then, we, on our next drive, we were forced to punt, but then the black shirts answered the bell again, forced a 3 and out. And we get the ball. Let's see. We get the ball back. I think it was about 3.5 minutes left. And it was like, guys, again, there are no moral victories, but we're down 4 points, the number 4 team in the land after what we just went through against
with
Indiana the week before. We've got the ball with 3.5 minutes and a chance to win the game.
Yep.
And it's like, that's a hell of an outcome for this team.
Yeah.
I will say that that entire final drive was a disaster.
Yeah.
Right. Complete.
It was very similar to overtime against Illinois.
Exactly
in
right.
the way that it
exact
felt
same thing.
and looked.
Yeah.
And you just can't put a true freshman quarterback in that situation with that type of pressure in a hostile environment. You got to do better than that. Like just the way things played out there.
I disagree. I disagree. I love that he's in that position. I love that he's had that experience of the crappy overtime against Illinois and on the field with a chance to win the game against Ohio State, because that is just going to make him harder, and he's going to learn from that. And I think he's mature enough to learn from that and grow from that and just become even better.
Yeah.
And Dylan showed me so much in that game. And it wasn't necessarily the throws he made. It was him realizing, oh, hey, they're sending everybody. I'm going to take off and run. That's something we haven't seen him do regularly.
Yeah.
And he just said, you know what? I'm going to go be a gutsy athlete, competitor, and get yards however I need to get them.
Yeah.
I thought he might score on that one in the first half.
God, he was going too. I'm like,
yeah.
Outstanding.
So that go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I was going to say is, I mean, like, I agree with you there, Matt, but I'm just saying, like, what was it, third and long to convert? Like, I hate that he was in that position. Like,
he's got
the
I think the frustrating part of it for me is there are upperclassmen who have played so many games, and they're the ones that are either having penalties or missing a lot of blocks.
Yes,
and if we can have those guys who are playing their 5th or 6th year of college football act more like leaders and we can count on them more, then maybe our true freshman stud can flourish a little bit more in those situations.
Mm-hmm. I had forgotten about this guy. So on the very first play of that last drive, Raiola completed a pass to Banks for 22 yards, but that's when Banks got the offensive pass interference.
Yeah.
Which, again, that one seemed more. That seemed a little bit more legit. I mean, at least Klatt said it looked more like a penalty, whatever. He thought that, the one in the first half was not at all. But either way, no one ever calls that unless it's just so completely.
And Klatt also before they showed the replay, Klatt was like, he pushed off of him with 2 hands. And then they show the replay and they're both got a hand on each other.
Yes,
it's like, come on, man. That's not what happened. What you just said is not what happened, man.
Right. And then we kind of got bailed out where they had that targeting.
Yeah.
So basically Banks, we complete the ball to Banks.
Yeah.
He gets hit, fumbles, and they do this long review, and they call targeting on the field. And they do this really long review. And so first thing they do is confirm that it's targeting, which if we go down the targeting rabbit hole, like by the letter of the rule, it was targeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that rule has gone too far. I get that they're trying to protect heads. I don't think guys should be ejected for that. The guys are 99% of the time guys are trying to make a play.
Right.
I don't want to, I'm not, I love I was thrilled with the call. Don't get me wrong
Right.
in the game,
Yeah.
but not only that, they confirmed that it was a catch. So so that we got the ball, it wasn't targeting in 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. It was 15 yards from the spot of the completion. And the fumble didn't count. So suddenly we're at midfield is the point
Yeah.
with a fresh set of downs.
Mind you, we should have tacked on 15 more yards for Ryan Day's egregious behavior of coming out on the field and slamming his headphones
And it
down.
probably
How could I have
should
forgotten
have
that?
been.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
No, we totally should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because Rule
anybody
got
else gets
flagged for
that
this
call
like
on them.
almost the same thing like a week ago. And they just threw a flag and called unsportsmanlike conduct. It wasn't a sideline warning.
Anybody
know?
else would get that called on them if it's
Like
not Ohio State.
And they said
For
it on the
sure.
broadcast too. And in their defense this time, it was usually a sideline warning is like your guys are just too close to the sideline and they're worried about a ref running into a coach
Yeah.
or a player, right? Or a player's running into those guys on the sideline. That's a sideline warning usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't usually give a sideline warning for a coach freaking out and tossing his headset.
Chucking his headset on the field.
Yeah, that was absurd.
But
That
he
was
didn't
absurd.
tell. So it looked like he'd thrown it, but then if you watch the replay of it, he still had it in his hand. So like he was gonna throw it and he just hung on to it.
Either way, he
it's
ran
still-
onto the field. He was overreacting. Like,
Yep.
what a bitch. Anyway,
He picks on old men too. He rips on Lou Holtz, but he's a nice guy, as far as I've heard.
no, nobody cares about Lou Holtz. Anyway, so but then it all fell apart like from there. So, and I forgot about this too. The next play we have a false start, and I mean I'll give Justin Evans Jenkins like a little bit of grace because I think that place got really loud out, and they were throwing bottles on the field and whatever.
Yeah.
Like stuff got out of hand, so it was probably impossible to hear. But it's the worst possible time for a false start. So it's 1st and 15. And then we're going to talk about the offense in a minute. We went 2 consecutive screenplays, and the first one lost 3 yards, and the second one lost another yard. So suddenly it's 3rd and 19 at the Nebraska 37. Dylan throws an interception with a little over a minute left, and that was the end of the ball game.
Yep.
And that was the end of our hopes and dreams. But I mean, one thought I had, guys, this can be a segue to a broader conversation about the offense in particular, because the defense was just outstanding, as we said. We have yet to be given a reason to believe that, like, when was the last time you believed when Nebraska had the ball in overtime or had the ball?
Decades. I'm already going to answer it.
2-minute drill or 4-minute drill, basically, like had the ball with a chance to go down and win the game. When was the last time you believed they were going to do it?
Exactly. Decades.
And we don't, it's not even
when we had dudes like probably under Pelini.
Tommy, right? Tommy Armstrong comes to mind.
Yeah.
Well, Tommy, or like even Taylor Martinez, like he even led a couple of game-winning drives. Like I remember Michigan State the one time, and we had guys like Burkhead and Halu and Amir and guys that would just make a play.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we don't have those guys now, but the coaches have to give them an opportunity to make a play.
Exactly right.
Right. Get them in the right position to do it.
Screen pass after screen pass.
Yeah, and it feels like it's not just that we're not getting into the end zone or not getting into field goal range. We, like, if we hadn't gotten bailed out we completely, we fall apart. We completely fall apart. So let's try to be as objective as possible here about the offensive performance, guys. I actually thought we ran the ball better than we had in a long time, especially consider, I think coming into that game, they were either number 4 or number 6 nationally in rushing defense. They were definitely top 10 in rushing defense, and we outrushed them almost we almost doubled their amount of production on the ground. So we ran for, let's see, I think sack. So it was 121, but I read somewhere, I think sack adjusted, it was like almost 150 yards we ran for on the ground. Now, some of that was Dylan scrambles, which are, not necessarily grounding and pounding kind of thing, but they only ran for 64 yards, guys. So like, and so that's, if you take I guess, I don't know what the sack adjusted is for them, because we did have a few sacks, but I felt like Satterfield was more committed to the run game than we've ever seen, or than we've seen in a long time, at least. And I felt like they executed it fairly well. It wasn't perfect, but like considering it was against Ohio State, that was better than I think we ran the ball against Rutgers.
Yeah.
Like
I think
so
he felt like he had to after that press conference. I felt like he just felt like
maybe.
I have to do this now.
As he should.
Yeah.
So, and I don't like it's just we're not X's and O's guys. We've said that many times. It just feels like the offense is not good enough overall. And I know Satterfield's coming in for a lot of criticism on social media. I think it's mostly deserved. Like,
Yeah.
they put together some drives. They committed to the run. Yeah, they put together some drives. They made like the offensive guys battled just as much as the defensive guys battled. Like I want to give them credit too, because we're always shitting on the offense. But the offense, it just doesn't have an identity.
It's just clunky.
It's clunky.
There's no like rhythm. It's clunky like that. And then,
we just don't have that one thing.
Often, when you're calling plays, like it's hard to call plays, guys. It is. It's hard to call plays. But typically what you're doing.
Anyone who's done it in a flag football game knows it's hard to call plays.
Absolutely. Especially if you got 8-year-olds running these things, you gotta
exactly
have a good system, make it simple, right?
Broadway Matteo just walking the sidelines. Juniors.
You're always
flag football games.
You're always calling things with things in mind like that you're gonna do later based off of those plays, right? Like it's a chess match. But occasionally you might try a thing or two and see if it works, because maybe you got something set up for it later, right? But when you do a wide receiver bubble screen or something like that, and you're dependent upon another receiver to make a block on the perimeter, and you try it once, didn't really work, block wasn't made. You tried again, didn't work, the block wasn't made. You probably scrap that play. You probably say, okay, that's not going to work today.
At least after the sixth or seventh time.
There was
100%.
There was a tweet out there that said the exact same thing. It said that if you can see that they're not making these blocks and then you continue to call the play anyways, it's not the player's fault at that point. Exactly. It's insanity. That's a coaching problem. That's not a player problem. He's not making the blocks. The coach is still calling the plays and he knows that he can't do it. That's a problem.
Let it be known. I like receiver screens. I like getting the ball to Barney any way we can. We could run, get the ball to Lloyd more, for the record, if we're going to talk about who we need to get the ball to. I like to run a few running back screens a game, but you can't make that like the only thing that you're doing or the thing that you're most consistently doing, because it takes away from, there's a little bit of a surprise element to a screenplay, right? Yeah. Usually you're handing it off, or you're faking it to the back, and you're running play action, or you're just throwing down the field. The screenplay is just kind of like, oh, hey, we're just going to dink it over there and let our guy, maybe catch a block and get some yards.
It wasn't working.
It wasn't working. Stop doing it.
Yeah, stop doing it. Here's a little something for you. For all I know that you two you've got your lovely wives, significant others, but for all you unmarried or single common fans out there, find somebody that looks at you the way Marcus Satterfield looks at a bubble screen pass. Owens, repeat that. I wondered
where the hell you were going with that.
Repeat that in a Delilah voice for me, Owens. Do it right now.
If you're feeling alone, maybe you just need somebody to talk you through things. Jeff's your guy, and you know what? Find somebody who really cares about you, who really would love a screenplay. If your name is Marcus,
have a seat.
Marcus and Lincoln, this one's for you.
Have a seat. Unbutton your shirt.
Go ahead and take your shoes off.
Here's interesting. As we're talking about this, I'm just looking at Twitter. I know I saw something somewhere that I'm looking for that I can't find, but I saw another thing from Michael Severe, friend of the program. He said not blaming Emmett, but Emmett Johnson had 4 targets and 4 catches for 0 yards. In Severe's words, that is hard to do. Dylan had 6 completions that went for double-digit yards and 6 completions that went for negative yards.
Wow.
Boom or bust right there, Severe says. Jalen Lloyd, Matty O, to your point, Jalen Lloyd had just 1 target, and Severe to that, he says,
yeah.
Sack adjusted yards per attempt 3.6. So it's just like here's the bottom line.
But
And
you know who had a nice catch. I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry.
no,
Go
go
ahead,
for it. Go
TJ.
for it. Go for it. Please. Please.
No, I just love that our boy podcast favorite Tommy Fedoni had a big catch late in that game, and I just love that for that guy. I wish we could
Yeah.
figure out a way to get him the ball more.
He's
Even
a
if it's on
beast
like a
when he
little
gets it.
5 yard over the middle or 6 or 7 yard over the middle. Just I'd love to see that guy with the ball in his hands
Yeah.
running down the field. It just looks beastly. Back to you, General.
No, go ahead. So I was just gonna say, so nationally, I mean, we're 93rd in total offense. We're
Oof,
95th in
that's
scoring
bad.
offense. Let me see this here. In passing offense, we're 63rd, which is whatever. Rushing offense, I wouldn't be surprised if we're in the hundreds. And rushing offense, we're 102.
Oh
Like,
God.
to your point, Jeff, like we don't do anything well on
Right.
offense. The
Yeah, we don't
offense
have that
doesn't have
one
an
thing.
identity. Yeah, we don't have the one thing that we do well. We don't, and I will say, and this turned into its own Twitter fight on Twitter. The series where we scored the touchdown and then got the 2 point conversion. I thought those were some of the best play calls we've seen all year from Marcus Satterfield. Like that 2 point conversion call is like you always say,
Mhm.
like,
Oh, it
what's
was
the one
outstanding.
play? Yeah, what's the one play you need to have in
That
your
was
back?
cool.
Yeah, right. So it feels like what is the one, Joel Klatt always says, I feel like I've heard him say it more than once. This is where you bring out your best plays. This is where you have like this is the point in the game where you have your best stuff, right? It's like
Which
that. We,
which I just
Go ahead.
love. Like the rest of the game, the rest of the
Yeah,
90% of the
right,
game,
right,
you're
right.
running your worst plays. Like
Yeah,
it's
All your
no,
such a
right.
shitty, get your shitty plays out of your system.
As a Polish person myself, of Polish lineage, I love that comment. Like here's where you run your best plays.
But it does kind of feel like, okay, it's you got the ball with a chance to win the game with 3.5 minutes to go at
Yeah.
Ohio State. Here's where you pull out the best package of stuff that nobody's ever seen. I don't know. I don't do
Well,
this for a
we
living,
should
but
we should have
like
used
here's
those at that point.
yeah,
Mhm.
right. Wherever those really good plays are, this is the time for them. Time is now. So, I don't know. I feel like we've been stuck on this, but it's really Satterfield's not going anywhere for the rest of 2024, and
No.
all common fans need to accept that. I think they got to take a hard like if Rule has been given lots of credit on this program and in other places for not standing pat and for turning over every rock to fix everything that needs to be fixed. And
Yeah.
so, I'm trying to be as objective as possible because I do. It's a total fan thing to just have full rage and want the media to ask these guys all the hardest questions and make them look stupid and to have the coaches fire anybody who fails immediately. But we're going on like Satterfield didn't really excel in previous jobs. We're going on 2 full years of evidence now.
Hmm.
And the case could be made for Foley as well. Great. They made some field goals finally. The rest of the
Yeah.
special team stuff still looks terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want this to turn into the firing episode where we call for people firing. Nobody's getting fired for the rest of 2024, but they're gonna have to like look top to bottom at everything. And
Yeah.
we'll see how the season ends. But if it ends
Yeah.
if it ends, let's say it ends 7-5. I think people will mostly be happy with that. Kind of depends on how the remainder of the games go. We get
They
back to a bowl
should.
game. We got a chance to get 8 wins with a bowl win kind of thing. People will be
Mhm.
happy with that, but people will also be left wondering,
What more could have been?
what more could have been, and what's it going to take to get to the next level next
Yeah.
year? And honestly, if it gets better than that, if it's better than that, if we somehow win 3 out of the last 4 or 4 out of the last 4, and we get to 8 to 9 wins, people are going to be saying, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
we had
Let's
this
run
in
it
the back.
back.
We had this in the golf bag all along. Then you better win 10 games next year."
Yeah.
That's what people are, 10
Yeah.
or 11 games next year. So either way, and I don't even want to talk about what happens if we win, if we don't win, if we only, I think even if we win one, people will
Calm
be
down.
excited.
All right.
People will be
Calm
excited about
down.
it. I think we're going to
Stop.
win. I think we're going to beat UCLA. But if we only win one, I think people will still be pissed off. So
Yeah.
regardless of whatever the scenarios are, like people are either going to be like, okay, you finished 6-6, it needs to be a lot better next year, or okay, you got to 9-4, you got to 8-4, had some struggles in there, but figured it out late. What are you going to do to take the next step next year? Either way, I don't know how he doesn't look at. I don't know
Yeah.
like what else he can do. Like he's gotta. He's got to change it.
Hey,
The offense has to be better.
He had to go. He
there's
should have gone. He should have gone full Top Gun with it. Like I envisioned Matt Rule like chasing him down, like Sundown chasing down Maverick when he refuses to engage. We could have had him. We could have had him, Mav.
could have had him sat.
Could have had him
We
sat.
could have had him sat.
Hey, there's pretty good play callers out there, I think, to be had that would work with Matt Rule and just be like the guy that just dials up plays. Like there's guys out there that want that gig. There is.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And I think like it's kind of clear. Rule is he's a big picture guy. Well, he's a detail guy too, but like he's the motivator. He's the program builder.
Which
He's
is what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Which is exactly what we need. It's what we need. And so, but he's not necessarily going to say, like Bo did. I think Bo would insert himself sometimes, and sometimes it would work. Like when we did the 99-yard touchdown pass out of the end zone in the bowl game against Georgia, Bo was like, "Why don't we take a shot here?" I
Yeah.
don't think Rule ever does that, and I respect that when a head coach lets their coordinators coordinate. I respect that. But then, so you need somebody in there who's going to get that off, and also like I just think, as Michael Severe told us previously, Rule will always make sure like it's a defense first program. Even when Tony White gets a head coaching job, I don't worry nearly as much about this defense being really good. So let's find somebody like you're saying, Matteo, Dana Holgerson or whoever it might be. Let's find somebody who just wants to dial up plays and score that, Matt Rule
just a mad
30 to
genius
30 to
scientist.
35 points a game. Like get that defense 30 points a game and see what happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's like I said, there's guys out there that just all they think about plays in their sleep. Oh, I was thinking of Holgerson actually when I was talking about that. I mean,
I can see
and
it
I'm
in your
not
eyes.
saying
I
like
can
I'm
see it
not
in your
saying
eyes,
like
man.
like that's like I hate when you start talking about, well, what about this guy? Let's bring in this. Like Satterfield's the OC right now. If there's something changes, then we could talk about certain names. But yeah, I mean, you that's the other thing. Like you watch these other games and you watch these offensive coordinators and their offenses look like organized and well put together and they're driving the ball down the field and it looks like there's a plan in place there, right?
Yes, it
And
never
it looks
feels like there's a
smooth.
plan. Right.
Like
Right.
you can tell, when the team, the offense is like moving it, right? Like they're just
Yep.
they know what they're doing. Nobody looks like, is looking back at the quarterback like, what am I supposed to do? And he's having to instruct them. Like they just look like they're set, right?
Yep.
Like I don't know why that can't be us.
That's exactly right. And another reason for urgency in this offseason is going to be how much longer will we have Dylan?
Right. That's because that's the thing.
It's possible it'll only be 2 more years.
Short, right?
Yeah.
The window's short, right? So why would we waste it with somebody that can't let him flourish to the best of his ability, right? Like I don't know that a lot of the plays that we're calling show off his skill set the way it should be, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot of times where I think there should be a lot more not necessarily not option, but option concepts, right? A lot more RPO game.
RPO stuff. Yeah, right.
Like a lot more RPO, a lot more play action, but to do all that, we have to run the damn ball. Like that's the only way all that stuff works. So,
Yeah.
there
Well,
it is.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I was when you talked about not having an identity and like, I just wish that we had something that we could fall back on. Like, I feel like every other team has something that they excel at on offense that at least they know that like, if this isn't working, like some teams can run the ball well. Some teams can, like when Dylan gets pressured, some teams would be able to block for him to give him a little bit more time to throw a quick pass to get that ball out. We don't have that. And then if everything goes to shit, we don't usually have a quarterback that you can rely on that can just break free and just run for a couple of yards. We don't have any of those things. And so that just kind of bums me out that's why I feel like it looks like we don't have a plan is we just don't have anything that we're just consistently good at.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know.
I
think
agree with
it's
that.
we're in
I
this,
agree
we're
with
this, yeah, I agree with that 100% because we don't have like one or two go-to dudes, right? Like right now we don't. Like we don't.
That's also true. That's also
what do we have?
true.
What do we have in the backfield? Like we thought, okay, it's Emmett's job, or now it's like, and then we're mad at Dowdell the first series or two of the game, and then he's running like a goddamn runaway Mack truck. I mean, he had a decent game, 14 carries for 60 yards against number 4 Ohio State. That's pretty good, 4.3 to carry. But you know what's like we are also aren't ripping off big chunks. Again, it's Ohio State. But how many? I would be curious to know how many runs of 20 plus we have this season by a
Wow.
running back.
Yeah.
I don't think there's that many. Like there's been a lot of, in the teens, but we're not ripping off long ones.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily have like I'm with you 100%, Jeff. We don't like have like a go-to thing. We don't really have go-to dudes right now.
That's
Like
true too.
there's
But also,
like
also though, like, doesn't it feel like? And I saw some commentary on this on Twitter too. It's sometimes I attribute this to coaching too, but I feel like guys are like. There's been times on like end around jet sweeps or whatever with Ja'Cory Barney where it's like you can't totally tell on TV, but it looked like if he had just cut it up, he had a lane to run. Or like
yeah.
when
Mhm.
a running back takes a handoff and it's like it looks like if he had like gone to the outside or cut it back up or whatever it was, it looks like they're missing. And I don't know if that's like a vision thing.
There's not, yeah, seeing
It
holes.
seems like it should be coachable though.
Yeah.
That's
But
what maybe
there
I'm
was
wrong.
one run play
It just
called
feels
and I
like
know
we've had like guys who are not able to do that for a long time.
there was a run play called and I texted you guys in our group thread where basically the entire line and tight ends blocked. They went left, like blocked their guys to the left. And it left Dowdell with basically two defenders that he had to beat on his own.
Yeah,
So
to the
I'm
right.
thinking like, okay, if he sees those two, go left because all your guys are blocking left. At least maybe you eke out a few yards following your guys. Instead, it looks like it's designed for him to go right, or that's what he did anyway. And there's
Yeah.
two guys there waiting for him, and it's
That was
no
really
gain.
confusing.
Like
Yeah,
it was
that
a
was
weird,
really
it's a weird,
confusing.
there's some of the run sets are weird. Like
Yeah.
the run scheme, the run plays that we have, like occasionally it's like it looks good. Like well, Dowdell will pop one up the middle for 15 or something like
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. I like again, TJ says it all the time. We're not X's and O's guys, but it just looks odd to me. Like some
It
of the
feels
run
gimmick. It
plays
feels
they have.
gimmicky sometimes. It feels
Yeah,
gimmicky,
yeah,
right?
Hmm.
Like, like I would love to have a team that again, no one's asking us to be Iowa or Wisconsin of the last 15 years. I love it. Like they just, and again, they did it more this last game than they have most of the season. But you like your bread and butter is whatever the
Yeah.
counter trap or whatever it is. Like, but like it's some basic bread and butter run plays
Yep.
that like we run over and over and we run really well.
You know
And
who
like,
used to do that? Nebraska.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then you can throw it up and it works better when you throw it
Yeah,
up when you're able to run
Yeah.
the ball like that, right? To your point about RPO stuff too, Matty O. What did they do? What did Will Howard keep it twice?
yeah,
Like he pulled it and kept it twice. It was
yeah,
super effective. I think
yeah.
he got first downs the twice he did it.
Mhm.
I mean, what about having Dylan do that 3 or 4 times again?
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
hate it.
And we got to move on here. We're just getting over
So-
time.
so-
But so go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to say this one thing. Like we've talked about, if our offense was just average and we had the defense that we do have, that wins us more games, right? So I guess the question I would pose is, and maybe the numbers that you gave us before, TJ, would suggest this, are we still below average
We're
offense?
still
Yes.
below average.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
1,000% still
Yes.
below average. Yes.
Gotcha.
I was going to make a point and I totally lost it. What were we just talking about?
You said we had to move on.
I know. Okay, thank you. We have to move on. But the other thing I was going to say is I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't think it's very effective to bring Heinrich Harburg in for one play.
No,
It's not. That's not working.
Yeah.
No.
Like I would
that's
love
not
to
how.
see.
That's not how you do it.
No,
Yeah.
we all know Dylan Raiola is the guy. No one's saying to replace him, but give Harburg a full series. Let him come in and run 4 or 8 or 10. However, let him take a drive.
Yeah.
Let him take see where it goes because I assume you're going to do something totally different. Everyone's commented on how his throwing motion and all of his stuff on the passing game looks much improved this year. So everyone's going to be like, oh, that's the running quarterback. He's going to run. Maybe you throw it up with Harburg a little bit, but
Yeah.
also let him run. Like, I just feel like letting him have his own series once or twice a half would be a nightmare for defenses to have to contend with. And let him come in and run some option stuff, some RPO stuff. Let him sling it around a little bit, whatever.
Let him throw a few screens.
Yeah, let him throw some screens. But I just feel like Harburg could be like he's being underutilized right now. And Rule
Yeah.
Rule talks about how we need to get him on the field more. He's a great athlete. I don't want to see him as an H-back.
No.
Like, I mean, sure, he could do that from time to time, but let him come in and play a little bit of
Yeah.
quarterback.
Let him-
And
let
maybe
him-
that opens things up when Dylan comes back in too.
I love
Oh, yeah.
that. Yeah.
Damn right,
They
TJ.
should
Damn
do
right.
that.
Okay.
TJ Burkle, Satter. He's coming for your job, Sat. TJ's coming for it.
I'm definitely not. Before we get to corn cobs, guys, let's end on some positive notes here. First of all, if we have a field goal kicker for the rest of the season, that could be a game changer, right? If Johnny Hole's the guy, and he looked like the guy on Saturday, if Johnny Hole's the guy, that's not insignificant.
Right.
I'd like to think we're going to boat race UCLA, but that one probably is going to be closer than any of us want it to be, and certainly the final three are going to be coin flips.
Yeah.
So having an effective field goal kicker is going to be very, very important. So and we're going to end on some hope about that situation starting to get resolved. And then I just think, again, the other positive takeaway for me is, I said it in the keys to victory. I think one of them was show some fight, and the other one was like play free, like don't play it. Like they were playing not to lose in the game against Indiana, and they did both of those things. Like they came out, they just played, they played free, they played to win, and they showed a ton of fight for 4 quarters. So again, the fact that they got off the mat, and they're 5-3. Like I know they were 5-3 last season, and they lost the last 4. To me, this feels like the team's in an entirely different spot than they were last year. And it feels like we have a lot more reason to believe that we can win, 2, 3, 4 more games the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
totally.
part of it's the guys that we have, right? Like I can't see like Ty Robinson, Gifford, Nash, Butler, like some of these dudes that have been here for a while, like not showing up, right? You're 5-3. You know what happened last year. You're doing everything you can to make sure we're playing a little bit more meaningful football these last 4. And it starts next Saturday. I can't wait, guys. We got a chance to get a 6th win next week. We got a common fan tailgate coming up.
Common fan tailgate, lot 10.
How exciting.
Dude,
It's gonna be fun.
I will say if given the choice, I would have chosen a win over Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. But I'm going to be in the house for the game against UCLA. And there would be something special about clinching bowl eligibility for the first time in almost a decade in Lincoln. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
that would be.
While you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm there. I mean, while other people are there too, of course.
Yeah. 85,000 others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Corn cobs, what do you guys got?
I'll go first. I'm gonna go with Big Johnny Hole. I'm giving it to him. I mean, that was impressive. He scored the majority of the points he did score the most points on our team. So good for him. I mean, it's nice to see that. It was refreshing. So he gets my corn cob.
You took mine, so now I gotta look back at the box score. Anyway, go ahead, Matteo.
I'll go. I'm gonna go with Deshaun Singleton. I thought that kid played like he really wants to play on Sundays, and he was just out there just showing out for NFL scouts. 10 tackles. Hey, I gotta get back to the box score here. 10 tackles, 6 solo. I could have given to one other black shirt, but I'm giving it to Deshaun. I thought he played great. He came up and run support a ton and helped. He saved a touchdown. I think it was Henderson.
Yeah,
like
that's right.
Like if he doesn't get tripped up by Deshaun, he's probably gone and scores. Singleton was a man yesterday. Loved it. Corn cob Deshaun.
Absolutely. I'm going to give my corn cob to the other black shirt I bet you were thinking of, Matteo, and that's Jamari Butler.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at his line here. 5 total tackles, 4 solo, and 1 sack. 3 tackles for loss. Maybe it felt like he was in on 5 tackles feels not accurate. Like it felt like he was all over the place, making every tackle. And maybe it's because he had so many tackles for loss that it felt like that. But he was an absolute man.
Yeah.
In that game. And so, again, hats off to the black shirts for that overall effort. But I mean, if you got Jamari Butler playing at that level, like if everybody's clicking down the stretch here, this defense is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And I loved that D line was just abusing Ohio State's offensive line, especially
Absolutely.
that poor kid that, remember we talked to Eric last week, Jeff. He was talking about the left tackle, that young kid that had to start because
Yeah.
Simmons got hurt.
Oh,
And he was just getting beat, dude.
and they were talking about on the
Bad.
broadcast how much he was getting beat.
McGahee, like Willis McGahee even like whipped him a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was getting worked. And then I think he got hurt and they had to move their left guard to left tackle and bring a different guy in for that guard. And yeah, I love that. I loved seeing our D line just dominate the Ohio State offensive line.
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
Love it. Love it. All right, Common fans. Well, thanks for joining the therapy session. And it's going to get better from here. Like, it's going to get better from here.
We should all be so positive about how things look.
Let's get the bowl. Let's get the
Optimism.
bowl. Let's get the bowl eligibility monkey off the back against UCLA. Let's get to 6-3. We've said this for a few weeks now. Get to 6-3, and stuff gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Like everything's like, the Big Ten championship is probably not on the table at that point, but like lots of things are still on the table when you're 6-3, and like we could still finish really strong at that point. So let's get that W against UCLA. Let's go 1-0 this week. That's all we can ask for. Let's go 1-0 this week. All right. View from the Bland stands with Evan Bland from the Omaha World Herald will be out Wednesday morning. All the Common fans will be down at the UCLA game. Come say hi to us at the tailgate in lot 10.
Yeah.
We'll have that thing up and running hopefully by about 10 o'clock in the morning.
We have food. We're going to have beer from White Elm Brewing. Like, it's going to be
certified
fantastic.
Piedmontese, Spurs.
Oh, yeah.
Piedmontese.
We're going to have all kinds of
It's going to be great.
It's going to be fantastic. So come say hi. Especially if you're a loyal listener, we'd love to meet you. We'd love to see you. All of that.
Weather's going to be nice from what I can tell, too.
It should be. Yeah, I've seen
nice.
They've been saying rain off and on, but it looks like it's going to be like mid-60s. So hopefully the rain stays away.
I mean, I was hoping for colder. I mean, in the 30s for those California boys coming into town.
That's a good point. That's not a bad point.
I'll take 60s. What's it saying? Right now it's saying 63, high 63. This rain stuff is moving all around. Right now it's saying 40% chance of rain. So who knows?
Who knows, TJ?
Don't get me started.
This is the Midwest. You've been out in Oregon too long.
Yeah.
That weather forecast is going to change 5 or 6 times.
If you think
before next Saturday.
If you think I don't know that, you can go straight to hell.
Hey, I know you're up in the dreary Pacific Northwest with all the rain and clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm on the
Goonies.
I'm on the other side of the mountain. I'm in Central Oregon, and it's a little bit more unpredictable, like it is in the Midwest. So we get a lot less rain. Okay,
I see.
Oh, sorry. I don't know my Oregon geography. I'm sorry about that.
Me neither.
Now, if you guys would ever come out and visit me, maybe you'd learn.
Oh, we will, TJ. Don't worry.
Someday we'll get there.
That was supposed to be funny. You guys didn't laugh. You just looked at me awkwardly. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it was an awkward statement that you made. So
you're implying that we don't want to come out and see you, and I think that's insulting. So
all right, we just need
to
end
I'm not laughing.
We just
gotta end this thing.
End this episode. Thanks for joining us, Common fans. As always, GBR for life.